King Xerxes held a grand feast for his nobles, filled with golden cups, rich food, and music. In his pride, he ordered Queen Vashti to appear before his guests, but she refused. Humiliated, the king's advisors warned that all women might disobey their husbands if she wasn't punished. In anger, Xerxes banished Vashti and sought a new queen. A kingdom-wide search began for a new queen. Among the women brought to the palace was Esther, a Jewish girl raised by her cousin Mordecai. She was gentle, kind, and wise. After months of preparation, she stood before the king. Xerxes was captivated by her beauty and grace, crowning her as queen. But Esther kept her Jewish identity a secret, as Mordecai had advised. Haman, the king's highest advisor, was arrogant and power-hungry. He hated Mordecai, who refused to bow before him. Out of rage, Haman deceived the king into signing a decree ordering the destruction of all Jews in Persia. When Mordecai heard this terrible news, he tore his clothes, fasted, and sent word to Esther, pleading for her to intervene. Mordecai told Esther, "You must go to the king and plead for our people." But Esther feared. Approaching the king without permission meant death unless he extended his golden scepter. Yet Mordecai warned, "Perhaps you were made queen for such a time as this." Determined, Esther declared, "I will go to the king, even if I perish." She and the Jews fasted and prayed for 3 days. On the third day, Esther dressed in her royal robes and walked toward the throne room. As she approached, the guards tensed, knowing the law. King Xerxes looked up. The room fell silent. Would he spare her? Then he smiled and extended his golden scepter. Esther had won his favor. Instead of pleading immediately, Esther wisely invited the king and Haman to a special banquet. Haman, thinking he was honored, boasted proudly to his friends, but his hatred for Mordecai burned. That night, he ordered a gallows to be built to execute Mordecai. That night, King Xerxes could not sleep. He ordered his royal records to be read. There he discovered that Mordecai had once saved his life from an assassination plot, yet had never been rewarded. The next morning, the king commanded Haman to honor Mordecai, forcing him to parade his enemy through the city in shame. At the second banquet, Esther finally spoke. "Haman has plotted to destroy my people." The king was enraged. When he saw Haman begging Esther for mercy, he mistook it for an attack on the queen. Furious, the king ordered Haman to be executed, on the very gallows he had built for Mordecai. The king issued a new decree allowing the Jews to defend themselves. The Jewish people rejoiced, and Mordecai was honored as the new royal advisor. Esther's bravery had saved her people. To remember this great victory, the Jews established the festival of Purim, a time of joy, feasting, and giving to the poor. The story of Esther's courage and God's faithfulness became a lasting celebration. And so, Queen Esther's bravery saved her people from destruction. Through her wisdom, courage, and faith, she changed the course of history. The Jewish people celebrated their victory and established the festival of Purim, a time of joy, feasting, and gratitude for God's protection. Esther's story reminds us that sometimes we are placed in certain situations for a reason. As Mordecai told Esther, "Perhaps you were made queen for such a time as this." No matter who we are, we can stand up for what is right and trust that God has a purpose for each of us. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing Bible stories brought to life. Which Bible story should we bring to life next? Let us know in the comments below.